Which is better, a hammer or a screwdriver? It depends if you have a nail or a screw. At Top Job Asphalt, they know that, and it's not one size fits all. With a variety of services and products, they can meet any pavement need and budget. Call 764-0451 and let their pavement experts give you a free estimate on any asphalt job. Best products, best services, guaranteed. 764-0451 or topjobasphalt.com. Choose the best. Choose Top Job Asphalt.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM. KVNU.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And we welcome you to the show on another cloudy little rain, and we call that beautiful when we're talking gardening this morning because, Mark, we need every little bit of rain we can get right now, and 1,500's overnight, so we'll take it.
We'll take it, and it sounds like there's more in the forecast, so, bring it on.
We can hope.
Yeah, bring it on. It cools things down. It's amazing how much more a rain will saturate into the soil than a sprinkler will.
Yeah.
You know, that storm we got a couple weeks ago that was almost 2 inches, I mean, it just stayed. It just stayed around. I mean, the soil just was so hydrated up that, it would dry out on the surface, but you dig down an inch, and it's like there was the moisture was still there. Yeah. So it makes a big difference. So these storms coming through here will just add to our August total. Yeah. So, we'll take it.
Already been a really wet August, and of course it's causing the weeds to just explode in your garden, too, if your garden's like mine.
Yep, I was out pulling last night, pulling some weeds.
Got to do some of mine today, so.
Yeah.
But a lot of beans are coming on. Corn is coming on.
Yeah. My corn's
Squashes
really close. I was looking at the corn last night. It's like, I probably better put the traps up for the raccoons because it's getting really close.
We put ours out last week. Haven't caught anything yet, but
that's good. That's
haven't
good
heard them yet, though, either.
Yeah, we've heard a few in our neighborhood.
Oh.
Yeah, we've heard a few in our neighborhood. So it's happened. Went through the zucchinis and the crooknecks last night and got rid of all the giants.
Yeah. My dad called me this week. He was out of town, and he said, "Hey, could you go up and just grab the zucchini? I'm afraid of what it's going to look like when I get home."
Yep. I went through, grabbed the wheelbarrow, and it's like, okay, too big, too big, up, too big. Can't do much with those. So, unfortunately, they're just going to go in the compost pile. So that's the way it works. But lots of new ones coming on. Except I did see squash bugs in there, and I did see a little bit of powdery mildew showing up on my plants. So I was hoping to spray today, but if it's raining, I might not be spraying.
We stopped by the store, what was it? I think it was Wednesday afternoon, and grabbed some spray because we had started to get some powdery mildew on pumpkins.
Yeah.
Because our pumpkins were just doing really well, and it started there, and then it started to move over to our zucchini, and I was like, okay, now we got to spray.
Yep. Unfortunately, I've got a butternut squash that's just producing like crazy, and I think the squash bugs got it. And I haven't put out any repellents or anything for the last month, maybe even 6 weeks. It got so busy, I just couldn't do it. And so I think we've lost one plant, but I got to get in there and spray and prevent those guys too. So if you've got questions about squash bugs or questions about powdery mildew, don't hesitate to call in on the show today, 753-5868, 753-KVNU. I made my first apple pie yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my mom used to make apple pie, and it was like my favorite, and this is the time of year that our Lodi yellow transparent are on. And so that's like, they make the most amazing pie, especially if you get them when they're just a little green and they're tart, and then you cook them. And some people like apple pie that like the pieces of the apple are firm and crispy. These apples turn into like just mush.
Oh yeah,
and it's just
really soft.
It's just the softest pie you've ever had, and it's almost like making pie out of applesauce, because once they cook, they cook down, and we put tapioca in there to kind of get that gel.
Gel.
Yeah, and it turned out really great. Had some help from my daughters, and we put it all together, and we did it just like Grandma used to make. So,
nice.
Yeah, it turned out really good. So I got to pick a few more apples. We'll try it again. So I'm gonna make her crust recipe this time. So we used our frozen pie dough for this pie, and the frozen stuff's really good. We should have it back in stock here next month. So it's been almost a year we've been since we've been out of our pie dough, and it's made up in Grace, Idaho. It's made by people called the Perfect Pie Dough, and they used to sell it out of London Drug there in Grace, Idaho.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But we've been selling it at Anderson's for probably 35 years, and so we've been doing it for a long time. And I don't know what happened, if she fell or something, but she hurt her shoulder and had to have surgery and rotator cuff replacement and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, so she hasn't been able to do pie dough for a while. So we actually had a brick in the freezer still, so we used that one. But next batch is going to have to be from scratch. So that's the way it's going to work. Cash sales going on at Anderson's. We bumped the discount up this week, so it is now 40% off if you pay with a credit card or a check. Or a debit card, but if you pay with cash, it's 50% off. So all of our trees and shrubs and roses, evergreens, fruit trees, they're all 50% off if you pay with cash. So this is a great time to come in and get some really nice looking trees. I've got some gorgeous shrubs. I've got a great selection of hydrangeas still. I mean, a lot of really great looking plants out there, and they are half price if you pay with cash. So this is a great time to come in, where we have redone part of our greenhouses and extended our greenhouses out. It's now covered, and so the back area checkout is covered, so you don't even get wet when you come in. So it's nice and protected back there. You don't have to worry about standing around in the rain, unless you want to go out in the nursery and look at the trees and the shrubs out there. But we've got the shade cloth that kind of breaks up the rain as well too. So even if it rains today, you can come in and take advantage of the great pricing on our cash sale at Anderson Seed.
Okay, yeah. So now 40% and 50% with cash.
With cash, yep. So you get the extra 10% if you pay with cash. So if you come in and you go, oh dang it, I forgot my wallet, but I've got my credit card or I've got my Apple Pay or whatever it is, you can still pay and get 40% off on all of our remaining nursery stock. So that's trees and shrubs and flowering trees and evergreens and roses and vines, and that's a great deal. But if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10%.
Okay.
Yeah, so you get up to 50% off if you pay with cash. And it is our last weekend for compost tea. Today's going to be it. Oh. We're just about run out of product, and we probably will run out sometime today. So today's the last day for compost tea, and we've had a lot of people take advantage of it this year.
Bring in your containers for one last fill.
One last fill on the compost tea. So, yep, good time to do it. So,
watering with these storms that we're getting, and just a little bit of water at times. I'm sure a lot of people are asking you. We were talking about it last week with tomatoes and some plants. Now we want to start cutting back on watering a little bit so that it'll actually help them trigger their fruit production.
Yeah, yep. So that's tomatoes for sure. And so we like to cut back on the tomatoes. So I've only been watering with these storms that are coming through. I've only watered once in the last. Actually, we watered twice. We watered twice this month, because that first part of August we got that big storm, and so we didn't water for a week. So I have watered twice now since the 1st of August, and we'll just let the tomatoes go until they just wilt just a little bit, during the day when you see the plants kind of wilt down a little bit, but they're still green and healthy looking, and then we'll make sure and water them, and then the plants just perk right back up. But we really haven't even had to stress the plants too much, because all the rain that keeps coming through, it just keeps the soil hydrated up, so the tomatoes have looked great. It's been awesome for my corn. That corn's just green, and every stalk is putting out 2 ears, and it looks amazing. I might throw a little bit more fertilizer on today though, so because I've got 2 rows that are getting really close to pick, and I've got 2 rows that's a little bit later variety. And so I'm going to probably hit that little bit later variety with a little bit more nitrogen, just to keep those second and third cobs that are coming on there, keep those growing, because it's probably going to suck up all the nitrogen that's out there right now. So
one question that we had in our yard, because we put a beehive in this last year, and so some of our garden now is kind of dedicated to the bees.
Yeah,
and that was
right.
the corn. We actually were going to go out and spray for silkworm.
Right.
And the bees were just all over.
Yeah,
and we thought, you know what? I guess
They're
we'll
not gonna
just deal
spray
with the
spray.
silkworms.
Yeah. There is
there a spray that you can actually use?
Absolutely. So there's a really amazing product out there. It's called spinosad soap. The spinosad soap is made from a natural bacteria, and that bacteria kills the larval stages of just about every kind of insect that's out there. And so it won't kill the adults. So it won't kill adult like potato beetles or bean beetles, or it won't kill ladybugs, but it kills the larva of a lot of different insects, and we're going after the corn earworms.
Yeah.
And so it'll kill the larva as
still in
they
their larva
hatch
stage.
out. Yeah. So the
Okay.
moths come in, they lay their eggs right on the silks, so they'll actually find the silks, lay the eggs on the silks, and then as the eggs hatch, they'll follow the silks into the cob, and then they'll eat the corn on the inside. And so the spinosad soap won't kill the adult moths, unfortunately, but it will kill the larvae as they hatch out. And with the bees, as long as you spray in the evening when your bees have gone home. So, right now the sun's going down about 8:30, quarter to 9 or so. Get out there about 8 o'clock when the sun's gone down, but it's still light out, and spray the silks. And then your bees have already gone back to the hive.
Okay.
And so it won't affect the bees at all. And it still won't affect the adult bees. If they pick it up right when you spray it and it's in a liquid form, they can carry it back to the hive, and then they kill the larva inside the hive, but it won't kill the adult bees. And so if you spray in the evening, the bees won't pick it up and take it back to the hive, and when the bees become active again the next morning, the spinosad's already dried, it's on the silks. The bees really don't ever land on the silks. They're up in the tassels.
Right.
They're getting the pollen up there, so really your likelihood of it bothering your bees is
very
very
So spinosad
very
soap
small.
will do it.
Yeah, the spinosad
Okay.
soap, and it's totally safe to use. You can use regular spinosad as well too, but I like the soap because it will kill like thrips, and it will kill aphids, and it'll kill a lot of other insects that could be causing problems as well too. And the thrips will get into the corn sometimes as well, and so it does a great job on a lot of different insects, but it's very safe for your beneficials because it won't bother your ladybugs, won't bother your praying mantis, won't bother your bees.
Okay.
Yeah, so super effective. I sprayed early this spring for aphids and thrips on my nectarines and peaches and cherries, and did a great job. I've got 2 hives in our yard, and it doesn't bother them a bit.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
does not
spinosad
bother
soap.
them a bit. Yeah, it really does a great job. Super effective, 100% organic, and won't bother those beneficials. So it's a really great option. It's a little more expensive than some of the other insecticides that are out there, but if you're really trying to save your hive and not affect your bees, it's worth every penny.
Is it too late, do you think, to spray for moth and silkworm?
No. I'm hoping that the season has been a little bit different.
Yeah.
Like our corn's coming on 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks later than usual, just because of the way the season's worked out. And I'm hoping we don't have any corn earworms to deal with. I haven't seen too much activity, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Okay. Well, phone lines are open if you have a question for Mark here during the Garden Guide, 753-5868, or you can call outside of the area, 1-800-369-5868. As we're talking silkworms, we need to also talk mosquitoes.
Yeah. All of a sudden they've popped up, haven't they?
It's gotten horrible.
Yeah. So
you go outside, and my daughter, we were out for one night, and she came in just covered in bites.
Yeah. So with that rain, all of a sudden we had a lot more moisture. We had water puddled. We had water sitting around, and so the mosquitoes have really perked up a lot. We haven't seen a lot of mosquitoes the last few years, and so with the drier summer that we've experienced the last couple of years, we haven't had to deal with the mosquitoes much. But with those big storms that we've had, the mosquitoes have been able to breed and spread a little bit more. So this is where we can get back into our repellents. So there's some great repellents for mosquitoes. The Mosquito Go from Fertilome is probably one of the very best repellents. It comes in a granule. It's what I use in my garden to keep a lot of different insects out of my garden as well too. And the Mosquito Go is made from cedar oil, so it's 100% natural, but super effective at making mosquitoes just go away or go to your neighbor's house. That's great, and it does come in a liquid form too. But it's from a different company. It's called Mosquito Beater, and it's made by Bonide. And it's a hose end. You just hook it on the hose and spray, and it's excellent. Makes your yard smell really good too. So that works great. And then permethrin's always been our go-to insecticide for mosquitoes because it kills and repels at the same time. So yeah. So the permethrin, you can get that in a concentrate, you can get that in a granule, you can get it in hose end form, and very, very effective. But it actually repels and kills the insects as well too. And it will give you on turf and on plants, it'll give you probably a 10-day to 2-week residual. So you don't have to spray too frequently, and it's safe for kids and for pets. Just make sure once you make the application that you give it enough time to dry before you let everybody else go back out there. It's a very, very low toxicity product. The permethrin's used in shampoos for kids who get lice, so it's very low toxicity for people, but super effective on a lot of insects, especially mosquitoes.
I finally got just so tired of it this week, being out in the garden. I said, that's it. I'm breaking out the bug light. Turned that on for a night, and it was like a killing field.
Yeah. They work.
Oh, they do.
They actually work great. Yeah. We've got some that are made by a company called Dynatrap, and they actually trap the mosquitoes and moths, and it creates its own carbon dioxide, and so the mosquitoes are really attracted to it.
Okay.
And so it uses titanium dioxide and electricity to create the carbon dioxide. There we go.
Carbon dioxide.
Yeah, it's like I just
attractant.
mentioned it. I can't remember what it is. Yeah, carbon dioxide attracts the mosquitoes, and so it creates its own carbon dioxide. And then once the mosquitoes or the moths get close to it, it has kind of a suction. There's a fan inside that creates suction, and it just like sucks them right into the trap, and then they get stuck in there, and then you have this lovely bug compost you can use and throw out in your compost pile.
Oh,
yeah. So it works.
Better.
So it's called a Dynatrap, and they work amazing. You can get one for outside that will cover up to an acre.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
so you just set up
your
one.
Whole backyard.
Yeah, you set up one in the middle of the yard, and it will attract bugs from about an acre size to that trap, and then they get stuck inside there. So there are some really great options out there for mosquitoes and moths and different things. I've actually had some of my customers using the Dynatrap in the middle of their orchard to catch codling moth.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's got an ultraviolet light on it, and so the moths are attracted to it as well. And so not only does it create the carbon dioxide, but it's got the ultraviolet light, and so it attracts moths and flies and everything to it. And when they get close to it, it just sucks them right in.
Oh, and that's the Dynatrap.
That's called the Dynatrap. They are awesome little tools.
Okay.
Yeah, you can put on your patio, for all kinds of different mosquitoes and insects that bother you. I don't know if it works on like wasps or hornets. I have not had anybody come back and say, "Hey, it totally took care of my wasps." So
we've never had any luck with the lights on wasps.
No, and so I don't think it will work on the wasps or hornets. I haven't had anybody ever say that it does, but it works on moths and flies and mosquitoes like crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. Well, let's go out to the phone lines. We have Tammy first on the line from Smithfield. Tammy, welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, how are you today?
I am great. It's raining.
It's so nice outside, isn't it? Cooler temperatures, too. It's
It's
going to be an amazing day.
I love this time of year. I've got several questions. First, I got a lot of dog spots in my lawn, and I did buy that Revive to treat the grass, but
yeah.
I believe you said there was something that you can treat the dog. I'm thinking I want to go that route.
There are some things you can put in the dog's water, and we don't carry them, but I'm pretty sure they've got them at PetSmart, or you can get them online as well too. And it kind of neutralizes their urine, so you don't get the pet spots. I have heard from a few vets that it's not like the most healthy thing for the pets, so do a little bit of research.
It's not.
Yeah, do a little research before. Just to find out. Yeah, just to find out. The dog spot treatment really does a great job. You can always just kind of throw a little bit of new seed out there right now, too, because the seed's coming up so fast. And we plant a little bit of grass seed, and it's up in 5 to 7 days. I mean, it just comes up super, super quick. So it's a good time to...
So I just need to be maybe a little bit more aggressive with my Revive then.
Yeah.
How often do you treat the area?
Usually once a month is plenty for prevention. But I do have a couple of people that will do it about every 2 weeks. So you can do it.
Maybe I need to up mine to 2 weeks then.
You can do it a little bit more frequently, and it's not going to hurt your lawn. It's definitely not going to hurt your pets or you.
do the hot temperatures affect it, or should I do it less in the hot temperatures or more in the hot temperatures?
The hotter,
I mean, I know.
I was going to say, the hotter it is, the more the spots will show up because it's going to react more with the heat. Just make sure and apply it in the evening when it's cooler, and make sure it gets watered in according to the directions. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I'll remember to do that in the evening.
Yeah.
Okay, my next question is my raspberries. I have my raspberries in a raised bed, and they just don't do well. I do put iron on them like twice in the spring.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, what else can I do to get bigger, better berries?
Nitrogen. The raspberries are a heavy nitrogen feeder, and so if they're not growing vigorously and producing a lot, they're probably lacking a little nitrogen. And raised beds, you tend to lose nitrogen fairly quickly in the raised beds because it will leach out through the bottom, and when you water it, it kind of pushes the nutrient out, and it also evaporates into the atmosphere. So make sure and fertilize a little bit heavier. So when you do your iron, make sure and use a high nitrogen, slow release type fertilizer, so that
kind of like what I put on my grass.
Pretty much.
Would that work?
Yeah, that would work great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like a 23-316 would be awesome for the berries. You know, anything with anywhere between a 20 and 30% nitrogen would be great, and as long as half of that is slow release, that would be excellent. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I need to get one that says the slow release then.
Yep. And with the raised beds, the soil is perfect for growing stuff, but sometimes it's lacking a little bit of nutrient, and so you got to make sure and fertilize a little bit heavier in there for sure. Yeah.
Should I do it more than twice in the spring?
You know, if you do the slow release, it lasts about 10 weeks, and so every 10 weeks. Which is 2.5 months, so about every 2 to 3 months would work great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we hit ours in like March, so do it sometime in like March, early April, and then 2.5 months. You're doing it again in June, early July, and by then you're kind of done for the season. So usually twice is good.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll make note of that. My next question, I think last week you mentioned that there's a systemic for containers, for flowers that are in containers.
Oh, yeah.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
What is the name of that?
So we use a product that's called 2-in-1 Systemic by Fertilome, and it has an insecticide, a systemic insecticide, and a systemic fungicide in there as well.
Oh.
And you can use it as a drench. And so you mix it up in a watering can, and then you water your planters with it. And we get it all over the leaves because it works as a contact insecticide and fungicide, but also works systemically, so it absorbs it in through the leaves, through the foliage of the plants. But it'll also pick it up through the root system. And so we do a heavier drench with it, and so we water the plants with it so it gets into the soil, and then get it all over the leaves, and it will work both ways, foliar and systemic. So, yeah.
Great.
Awesome
I'm
stuff.
going to have to get some of that because I don't really know how to do the preventive maintenance on like my hanging baskets, and
right.
It seems like I always wait until I see the damage and then I treat it.
Yeah.
And it takes a week or two for it to get pretty again.
Yep.
So
Yep. And
I kind of want to do something preventive.
Yeah, we've found with the petunias and the geraniums, it's just better to do preventative, because if you wait until you see the damage, they've already like killed off most of the blossoms, and so it's hard to get them to recover really fast. And so we just about mid-June, end of June, we just start treating them every 2 weeks just to stay on top of it. And that systemic, that 2-in-1 systemic works amazingly well. Occasionally we'll mix a little bit of a contact insecticide in there, like permethrin or bifenthrin. We've been using Sayonara this year. It's a brand new insecticide.
So with the permethrin, you like spray that on, or you can water it in?
Oh, I mix it right in with the 2-in-1, and it gives you a little bit more of a quick knockdown in case you think the caterpillars are nibbling already, and so it just adds a little bit more of a contact insecticide in there. And so we've been doing that the last couple of years on our hanging baskets in front of the store, but also on Center Street and on Main Street, and we just have not had a single problem with the insects the last couple of years. So.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm going to definitely make note of that and try it next year.
Yeah, works great.
My last question, I use sticky spreader in everything, and I'm thinking that maybe I shouldn't with the pesticides. Is that true?
The spreader sticker actually makes the insecticide so that you'll get better coverage, and so it's not uncommon for a lot of people to use the spreader sticker, because what it does is not only does it make it adhere to the plants, but it makes it so you get a little bit more even coverage. It makes the spray droplets smaller, and so they don't run off the plant as much. And so you'll actually get better coverage that way with the insecticides. You just don't want to use too much of it. So with the insecticides,
Okay.
I go at the lowest possible recommended dosage. And with the herbicides, I go a lot higher. I'll go up to the highest recommended dosages so that it penetrates
Right.
into the weeds a lot faster. So yes, that works great to use it with insecticides.
I think for my pesticides, might been using too much, because it's like leaving the leaves brown, and
It can burn a little
it
bit,
just-
yeah. Especially with the high
burned
temperatures.
them or damaged them, and
Yeah, with the higher temperatures,
So
you got to be a little
was-
bit careful.
okay. So the high temperatures, and use the lower dosage.
Exactly. Yep.
On that.
Yep. Even sometimes I'll
Okay.
go half of what they recommend. But it conditions the water so that you're going to get more even coverage on your plants, and then the insecticide doesn't just like run off and drip all over the place, and so it does make your sprays a lot more effective. I've been using a surfactant called Nano Boost, and the Nano Boost is the most amazing product I've ever used when it comes to killing weeds. You can use the Nano Boost with any herbicide and use the lowest recommended dosage, and it will work as if you're using the highest recommended dosage. And it's like it's rain fast in about 15 minutes. And so if you spray and then a huge storm rolls over the Wellsvilles and just like dumps rain 15 minutes after you sprayed, it still kills everything. It's absolutely amazing. It's like the best product I've ever
that
used.
better than the sticky spreader, then?
The Nano Boost is the best surfactant I've ever used. The problem with it is it only comes in 2.5 gallon containers and in quarts. And the quarts will make, believe it or not, 800 gallons.
Oh, wow.
So not many people want to fork out $55 for a surfactant that makes 800 gallons, because it will last them the rest of their lives. So it's not in the most convenient packaging. I've been bugging the company. It's like, this is a cool product. It's like, you need to have it in a consumer size. You use a teaspoon in 5 gallons. So that's how much you use. But I can take my Roundup, or I can take my Decimate, or I can take my Weed Free Zone, and instead of using the highest recommended dosage, like on Weed Free Zone, it's like 3 to 4 tablespoons. So if you want to kill the hard stuff, you want to go a little bit heavier. If you're not too worried about it, then you go lighter. Well, I can go with the lightest dose and use the Nano Boost with it, and it works as if I'd mixed it at the strongest possible rate. And so it is absolutely amazing stuff. And I could explain the technology to you, but what it does is it makes it just penetrate into the cell structure of the plants like really, really fast. It just penetrates so quickly into the cell structure. It starts to break down the plants within a half an hour. So it's very cool stuff. Yeah.
So if I decide to get some of that, how long? I mean,
Oh, it'll last for
How
years
many
and years and
will it
years.
last?
Yeah, it's like I'll take a quart home, and it takes me like 4 or 5 years to use it all, but it still works as well the 4th or 5th year as it does the first. You just got to make sure and keep it in a spot where it doesn't freeze. So if you store
I just need to store it properly.
if you store it properly, it will last and last and last. But it runs about $55 for a quart, so it's kind of expensive. But I'll tell you what, I've got people that come in and they're like, I've been battling snake grass for 10 years and I've never found anything to kill it. I give them the Nano Boost and I give them the Spurge Power, and they mix those two together, and they come back a week later and they're like, my snake grass is gone. Thank you so much. I've never had anything that's actually worked on the snake. I mean, it just makes herbicides work so much better. I would not use it with the insecticides, though. So this is one that I would just strictly use for killing weeds and grasses and things.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. So I have not experimented with it enough to use it on some of the other possible uses for a surfactant. So I just use this one for
Okay.
herbicides. But it
For
does.
herbicides,
It
okay.
makes everything work so much better.
Huh, good
Okay.
to know. What about grass killer? Does it work better than grass killer? Or does it help the grass killer work better?
It kills grass like crazy. Yeah, so it works.
Because
it works
I
amazing.
have struggled. I don't have a problem killing the fat bladed grass. It's the skinny
It's
blades
some of the other ones, yeah.
that are hard
yeah.
to kill.
No, this I have never found anything better. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, it just makes everything
Okay,
work
I'm
so much
going
better.
to have to get me some.
Okay.
Thanks
Awesome.
for the call, Tammy.
Thank
So
you,
that's
Mark.
called
You're
Nano
welcome.
Boost.
Nano Boost. Yep, it's called Nano Boost.
Okay.
It's made by a company called Monty's.
All right. Well, we have Joan hanging on the line from Millville. Joan, welcome to the show.
Hi. I've just got a quick question. Our pumpkin, about this time of year, it seems like it starts to die off, and it turns yellow and then crispy brown, and then it's gone. But the pumpkins seem to do okay, and you can see them all through these dead leaves. But right now, they're just starting to die off in the center, and it
Yes.
spreads out.
It's usually squash bugs or powdery mildew.
Powdery mildew?
Yeah. It's usually squash bugs or powdery mildew. So I would check for both of those. I saw squash bugs on my zucchini last night. Darn their hides. And I'm seeing a little bit of powdery mildew showed up on some of my squash and pumpkins as well, too. So if I get a chance today, I'm going to get out there and do some spraying and knock those guys down, because the squash beetles will kill them just overnight, and the powdery mildew will just gradually weaken them to the point where they just stop producing. So we want to get after both of those.
So what do you spray them with?
Powdery mildew, I use either Complete Disease Control or copper soap. Safe to use right up to the day of harvest. And then for the squash beetles, I would use the new formulation of 7 or permethrin. Both of those will work great and are safe to use on the fruits and vegetables.
Great. Okay, so it's for the powdery mildew. What do you do on that?
Copper
that
soap.
one?
Copper soap.
Copper soap.
Or Complete Disease Control from Monterey. They both work great.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
We just went out and we just sprayed it right onto the leaves.
Yeah.
Do it at night.
Yep, do it in the evening. Yeah, best time to do it.
Yeah.
You got it.
And it'll stop it where it's at.
It will.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Yep.
Well, that takes us down to the bottom of the hour. We've more time to take more of your calls coming up in the second half of the show. If you have a question for Mark, 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868 for the garden guide. And coming up after the break, we'll also talk about the cash sale going on right now at Anderson Seed and Garden, where you can save up to 50% off their select trees and shrubs. It's all on the way next. Stay right here on KVNU. With your KVNU News Update, I'm Will Feelwright. The news this hour is brought to you by Logan Dental Associates. A 3rd District Court judge Friday afternoon handed down a decision putting on hold Utah's ban on transgender athletes competing in girls' sports while a lawsuit proceeds. Judge Keith A. Kelly issued a preliminary injunction that will allow trans girls to compete only when it's fair. It will be up to a commission now to make that determination. The commission was included as part of House Bill 11, which passed by Utah lawmakers last session to take effect in case the ban was invalidated by a court. Governor Spencer Cox had vetoed the bill after it was passed during the final hours of the session, but Republicans in the legislature mustered enough support to override his veto. Now, in the decision Friday, Judge Kelly also found that the ban discriminates against the transgender athletes based on their sex, and they would suffer irreparable harm if the ban is enforced. And 2 patrol cars in the Salt Lake City Police Department were damaged after officers said a 17-year-old girl crashed into one of them. They said that the crash happened at about 1 a.m. Friday morning while officers were responding to an unrelated call. 2 marked patrol cars were parked in the area with their emergency lights on. While officers were outside of their cars, a Toyota Corolla hit the rear of one patrol car, which pushed it forward into the second. The woman was treated for minor injuries at the scene, and no one else was injured, according to a press release. The Utah Highway Patrol is investigating the crash due to the fact that it involved 2 Salt Lake City police cruisers. Well, looking at scattered showers and thunderstorms possible as we'll see colder temperatures this weekend. Highs only around the mid to low 80s for the next couple of days. That storm should clear out by Sunday afternoon. Will Feelright, KVNU News.
From ABC Sports. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Ant. The Mets headed down the turnpike to Philadelphia looking to shake off their first NL East Series loss of the season in Atlanta. Pete Alonso hit his 30th of the season.
Alonso, it's a high fly, left field, down the line, pretty deep, veerling back near the wall, and it's gone! Home run! Pete Alonso!
On WCBS 880, and the Mets beat the Phillies 7-2. Well, New York couldn't widen their NL East lead over the Braves, though. Astros at Atlanta, bottom 3, 2 ducks on the pond for Austin Riley.
First pitch all the way to Austin, and he smokes one to deep right, back there to the wall. Austin with a stone-cold stunner.
The call on 6:80 a.m. The Braves rip Houston 6-2, and the Braves trail the Mets by 3.5 games for first place in the division. Also joining the 30-home run club, Cardinals' Paul Goldschmidt with a solo blast in the first, and St. Louis roughed up the Diamondbacks 5-1. This is ABC Sports.
Hey everybody, John Weiss with Heritage Jeep. You know, I get a lot of people asking me, John, why should I buy a Jeep from Heritage? What makes you so different? The difference is simple. It's our transparency promise. Every Heritage vehicle has the same low price online as you'll see on the sticker in the window. No secrets, no games, just total transparency. And during the Jeep Make This the Summer event, it's the perfect time for a great deal on our full lineup of 2022 Jeep vehicles. From the luxury of the all-new Wagoneer to the unrivaled toughness of the iconic Wrangler. So come see your hometown dealers the biggest deals during the Jeep Make This the Summer event, and make this the summer you find yourself behind the wheel of a legendary Jeep vehicle. Visit Heritage in Brigham City, Logan, Tremont, or get your e-price at heritageeprice.com. At heritageeprice.com, you'll find the most competitive prices on the most rugged and capable Jeep vehicles. That's Heritage, your hometown dealer's the biggest deal.
Heritage Auto Group. Heritage, it's what drives our future.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Kishinka. Monday on This Morning, America's First News, why the toxic messaging in some firearm advertisements have put them in the crosshairs of the Federal Trade Commission, why you shouldn't worry about a beefier IRS unless you're a tax cheat, and why a bag of Fritos or ice cream cone is healthier than devouring a multi-grain bagel. That's Monday on This Morning, America's First News.
Monday morning from 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news, weather, and sports.
It's the Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
And welcome back to the show, 8:42 now. And Mark, we teased it a little bit at the top of the hour. The cash sale, now up to 50% off.
Right. So it's that time of year where we want to clear plants out, find homes for them. It's a great time to do some planting. Excellent time to plant trees and shrubs. It's starting to cool down. You can really feel the temperatures drop at night.
It's really nice.
It's so nice. Yeah, it's so nice. But it's a great time to plant. So you can get your plants in and established before winter sets in multiple months. Before the ground freezes. This is a great time to start planting. And so we try and do our clearance sale. And everything is 40% off right now. So that would be trees and shrubs and evergreens and flowering trees, shade trees, vines, roses. They're all 40% off. And if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% off. So our cash sale's going on right now. Get that extra discount if you pay with cash. And we also got garlic in. I forgot to mention. So garlic showed up this week. So I've got garlic. We have, I think, 14 varieties of garlic right now, both hardneck and soft necks. And these are all our local grown ones. So this is amazing garlic. You can take it home and eat it, but you can also plant it. So you can get it both ways. But the garlic is in. So we're excited that it's garlic season. And so we've got garlic, and I've got more coming next week. So I've got about I think 5 or 6 more varieties coming. So we're going to end up with about 20 varieties of garlic to choose from. And the garlic is in great shape. Looks really good this year. So we're excited to get that going as well, too. And I'm going to plant some plant some peas this week. So I was hoping to do it earlier in the week, but I just got distracted with too many other things. So this weekend we're planting some peas. They'll be ready the 1st of October. So right when it starts to get cold, we start getting frost.
Great.
But the peas will be ready to harvest at that point. So it's a great time to plant onion seed for next year, or peas to enjoy this fall, or spinach or lettuce to enjoy this fall. It's a good time to recycle some of that space out in your garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're taking your calls, 753-5868 or 1-800-369-5868 for Mark if you have a question about gardening, lawns. We were talking watering. We were talking raspberries and powdery mildew.
Powdery mildew.
We'll come back to that in a few minutes.
Powdery mildew and squash bugs. Oh, and it is last day for compost tea. We'd mentioned that earlier. So that we're going to run out of compost tea today.
Sometime today.
Yeah, so...
Well, we'll go back out to the phone line. Scott is joining us on the road. Scott, welcome to the Garden Guide.
Thank you for taking my call. I appreciate your being on the radio to answer questions for dummies like me, Mark.
You bet, Scott.
My wife has coaxed me into building her a picket fence on the side of our yard. It's going to be probably 60 feet long.
Okay.
And I'm interested in planting a grapevine along there, but I know absolutely nothing about grapes and how to plant them and when to plant them. Is this a good time to be planting grapes, or how do you do those?
Yeah, anytime from now until the ground freezes will be a great time to plant grapes. Of course, we have our best selection of grapes in March and April. That's when all of our plants come in. But I think we still have some pretty good varieties of grapes left. And so you can take advantage of the cash sale, get those planted, get them established, and then they'll really take off next year because they will have established root systems and they'll be going like crazy. Probably I would plant them about every 15 feet along your fence. So probably 4 would cover the entire fence. And then really you want to train them at about 3 feet to go horizontally. So you let them grow up until you get about 3 feet, and then you're going to train them to start going horizontally at that point. And then they'll continue to grow up as well too, and then train them again about 5 feet. If your fence is that tall. So at about 3 and about 5 to 6 feet is where you want those horizontal growths. I have some really great information on growing, trellising, how to harvest, how to take care of your grapes on our website. And so we've got some updated information on grapes. I also have my fruit growing guide that has all the same information in it as well too that we sell at the store. So some great resources there for you if you've never done grapes before.
That's terrific. And it's you say this is a good time to do it just so you can get a start on next year.
Yeah. So here we are the end of August. Really, the ground won't freeze till about mid-November. So your plants have almost 3 months to really get established before winter sets in. And, if you can get that root system going, next spring they'll just take off like crazy, like they've been there forever.
Oh, that's terrific.
All right.
Good. Is there a variety you recommend for this area?
Everything that we carry is really good. So I usually have some green seedless. I've got some purple. I've got some red. I've got some pink. Some of the sweetest grapes that we've grown. Somerset. Somerset is a red grape, and it's got a great flavor. It's kind of like a hint of strawberry flavor to it. So that's a really nice one. Jupiter's really good. We sell a lot of Concord seedless and just a ton of regular Concord that have seeds because it's such a great juice and grape. So usually we have a lot of different grape varieties to try.
That's great. Well, one of the reasons she wants to do that, one of the reasons I want to do it is just kind of a break from the street. We have a corner lot, and I'm assuming all the varieties put out lots of foliage to cover the fence,
yes,
so that it'll create a better screen.
Yep. So it'll give you good coverage, but it's amazing how much a fence will kill sound. But then once you vegetate it, how much more it kills the sound, and so you get road noise and various things. That it will really absorb a lot of that, and you just won't notice it as much.
Wow, that's terrific.
Yeah.
Well, I'll come on down and get some stuff from you.
All right. Sounds great, Scott.
Can you tell me your website again, quick, Mark?
It is AndersonSeedandGarden.com. Okay. And most of the time we just tell people, just Google Anderson Seed Logan. And it brings us right up. Because sometimes it's hard to spell Anderson Seed and Garden all the way out and not mess up. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, and is spelled out A-N-D. So, but it's on there. And then we also have our informational side of our website that's called Growing Better Gardeners as well too. We're working on that. This is our winter project to get a bunch of information on there. But you're going to look for our grape growing guide, and if you can't find it on the website, just come in the store. I'll help you figure it out. So
that's terrific.
All right.
Appreciate it, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scott. All right. We'll see you.
Phone lines open, 753-5868, 1-800-369-5868. Let's go back out to the phone lines. Todd is joining us on the line. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Thanks, guys. How you doing today?
Doing great, Todd. This is your last day for compost tea. You better come get it.
I know. That's what my wife tells me.
You can always make your own. So
I know we ventured that way. We may do it next year. We don't know yet.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of customers that are in Preston and over in Brigham City and various places that are a little farther away from Logan, and we have taught them how to do their own, so they don't have to rely on our brewers.
You're just saying that because I'm about a block away.
Yes,
so.
you're not very far away. So we have a couple people that we could teach how to do your own if you ever wanted to.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I come, you can just put the padlock on the gate. Forget about it.
That's what I tell the employees. It's like if you get in trouble and I'm not here, just lock the gate. It's okay.
Yeah, and they see me and they see me coming for compost tea and they run.
Like, oh my gosh, here comes Todd for his 15th fill today. So yeah.
It's 21st.
Good stuff.
Hey, Mark, I got a couple of questions for you. One gardening one and just a normal one.
Okay.
I walked out in my garden the other day, and I was bombarded by grasshoppers.
Yes.
And that was the only section of my lawn that they were at was my garden. Could that be because of the lush greenness in the garden?
That's because those plants taste better than everything else, so they're gonna come find them.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I was about ready to send my neighbor's chickens in the garden.
You could do that. The chickens are great for grasshoppers, so encourage them to come over and patrol your garden.
Okay. Well, thank you for that one. I've got another question for you and for Will. I know you guys forecast the weather. You get your apps and stuff like that from different stations and stuff, but how can you tell which one is more reliable than the other?
That's a good question. You deal with the weather more than we get. Lots of questions about the weather, but you actually are in the business of weather.
Most of the models, Todd, you actually kind of have to take and look at a combined 2 to 3 of them just to get a good idea. Because really not one site is the best. Of course, National Weather Services, who we're affiliated with and have been for 50-plus years now, and so we tend to rely heavily on the National Weather Service, but a lot of times like weather.com, which is just a commercial site, sometimes they'll actually their models are pretty accurate, and they're very similar to weather.gov. So those are usually the two that we look at. But most of the time, especially for Cache Valley, I mean, natives will tell you, you just never know with the weather here. And if you use a couple models and look at what both are predicting, then you can usually get a pretty good idea. But usually one site is never going to have enough information to really kind of forecast, especially if you're looking at, do I spray today? Is it going to rain? When is it going to rain? Yeah, always check out a couple different models. Weather.gov is the National Weather Service. Weather.com is from the Weather Channel, and those are usually your two best resources.
Okay. Yeah. The reason I'm asking is because I was looking online the other day, and they were predicting some of the white stuff as early as the middle of October for for our area, and that wasn't the
some of those long range forecasts. Right? Yeah, some of those long range forecasts. I just call BS on those because it's really hard. It's really hard to do it. We at Anderson's we go strictly off of local folklore, and so
the old farmer's almanac.
Yeah, we go strictly off of local folklore. But we are asked quite frequently what our opinion is on the weather. But I'll tell you what, some of those old sayings that my grandfather used to have, that Dad used all the time, man, they are spot on. They are just so accurate. Yeah. So it's like in the spring, if you hear thunder and you see lightning in the spring, that means it's going to snow. And scientifically, it's like those thunderheads roll in, and you've got a lot of cold air up high, and it brings that cold air in, and almost every time, almost every time it happens, you get snow or hail. You get one or the other. So there's some really great observations, common sense observations in a lot of the folklore, the farmer folklore, and they just had years and years and years of observation, and when they saw certain patterns, they would make up a saying about it. And I'll tell you, my grandfather had tons of them, and I'll tell you what, they are like equally as accurate as the weatherman.
Yeah.
So
you should put that in the bookmark.
We tried to get Dad to put them all down before we lost him, and we have a few of them, but we don't have them all. So unfortunately, a lot of information, if it doesn't pass on from generation to generation, it gets lost. So there's some pretty good stuff out there.
Deep sky and warning, sailor take warning, or whatever it was.
Yep.
So, okay.
A lot of truth to it.
I thought I'd ask you that.
All right.
Well, thank you, Todd. Appreciate the call this morning. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. We've got time probably for one more call. I'm going to answer that real quick.
Sneak one more person in. Yeah. At Anderson's, we've got our cash sale going on, so this is a time to come in and take advantage of the best pricing of the season for trees and shrubs and evergreens and roses and vines. And if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% off discount. So everything's 40% off. If you pay with cash, you get an extra 10. Last day for compost tea, like I just teased Todd a little bit. Last opportunity today to get compost tea because we will be out by the first part of next week. And garlic has arrived at Anderson Seed, so a great time to get out there and get your garlic planted for next year. This is the time. And tulips and daffodils and hyacinths, they'll be in probably right after Labor Day.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nice if it comes sooner, but I'll say let's plan on it coming right after Labor Day. Probably. Yeah, and if it shows up quicker, great.
Okay, well, we'll squeeze in our final call here for the Garden Guide on this Saturday morning. Welcome to the show. Go ahead with your question.
Hey, Mark. Just one quick question. I know you're running short on time.
Yeah.
We got a nectarine tree and peach tree that the last 2 years haven't produced very well because they keep freezing the
blossoms. Yeah.
Is there any way we've been looking into maybe like an industrial fan or something like that you could run on the cold nights? Is that something practical, or is there something out there that could help?
Absolutely, and a little bit of heat helps too. So what we've had a lot of some of our local growers do, smaller home orchards, Christmas lights work great. Don't use the LED ones, but use the incandescent ones, and they generate a lot of heat. You just wrap them on the branches, and it generates a lot of heat. It'll keep the frost from bothering your blossoms. And then anything to get the air to circulate. So a big industrial fan to get that air movement going, that really helps a lot too. But a little bit of frost cloth with Christmas lights underneath there generates a ton of heat, and you can trap that heat in there and protect the trees for sure. So there's a few things we can do as long as your trees are not too big. That's when it starts to get difficult to protect the trees the bigger they get.
Yeah, they're about 5 years old, so they are getting a little bit big. We turn them back quite a bit, but I think that's kind of been the issue. You're getting that natural thinning, and it's a little too much. We only got about 10 or 15 nectarines on there.
Yeah, and the frost will settle when the air is very still, and so if you can keep that air circulation going, it really does make a difference. And in Northern California, where they're trying to protect various crops, they'll have smudge pots out there, and Start a barbecue and get a little bit of heat going, get the fans going, get that air movement going, and that would help a bunch.
Well, I think that we know what we're saving up for Christmas for this year. Big
fan. Sounds great.
We got to save up for it now, so it's ready for the spring.
There you go. All right. Hey, thanks for calling in this morning.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Have a great one. All right. Our time is about up, Will.
Show has just flown by.
Lots of questions. Tammy did have about 10 questions to start off with, though. So.
We had 5 calls and 15 questions. Hey, one more plug again. Cash sale.
Yes.
50% off now with cash.
50% off. So 40% off if you pay with a check or a debit card or a credit card. But if you pay with cash, you get that extra 10% off, and you'll get 50% off all our remaining trees and shrubs. We do have some nice new perennials coming in next week for fall, so we'll have some asters and mums and things. Those will not be included in the sale, but pretty much everything else is right now. We got a few minor exclusions. Garlic's here, and this is the last opportunity for compost tea. So
okay.
Good time to be outside. Yep. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the cool temperatures. And we'll be back again next week with another edition of The Garden Guide.
As our world changes, we'll keep you up to date. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM, 610